All right, Algebra 2, we are still on quadratics. Here we're in the standard form, which is ax squared plus 14x, which is bx. So excuse me, ax squared plus bx plus c. We have the equation x squared plus 14x plus 60 equals 0. So the first thing we want to do, here's our instructions on the right. We want to move the c over because we don't really like this 0 on the right side. So we're going to subtract 60. And now I have x squared plus 14x, and let's leave a little space here, equals negative 60 and leave a space. So what we're going to fill in this space is, this is what's called completing the squares. So we are going to use this b, so the positive 14, we're going to half it, square it, and add it to both sides, just like we say over here. So let's half it, let's divide by 2. That's 7. Let's square it, and we're going to add it to both sides. So plus 49 and plus 49. Now we have x plus 7 squared equals negative 11. We're solving for x, so let's get rid of this square by taking the square root on both sides. Well, the square root and the square are going to cancel, so we have x plus 7. And when we take the square root of something, we're going to have a positive and a negative answer. We don't like the negative inside of the square root, so there's our I, just like from 2.4, and what's left over, that square root of 11. Now let's get x by itself. Let's subtract 7 to both sides, and we're going to write this whole number before we write the I term, the imaginary term. So our answer is x equals negative 7 plus or minus I times the square root of 11. Moving on to the second problem. A little more complicated because we have a number in front of the x squared. We have an a value. So let's divide by that a value. So now we have x squared plus 4/3 x plus 13 over 3 equals 0. Again, we want to move the c over, so we're going to subtract 13 over 3, and I'm going to leave a space after the x squared plus 4/3 x and after the negative 13 over 3. What do we fill in this space? We're going to use the b value, so this positive 4 over 3. We're going to half it, square it, and add it to both sides. So halving a fraction or cutting a fraction in half, we're going to multiply by 1/2. 4 times 1 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6. We can simplify this to 2/3 because 2 goes into 4 twice, 2 goes into 6 3 times. So we have 2/3. Now we're going to square it, and that's 4 over 9. So this 4 over 9 is going to be added on both sides, and we have our new equation right here. Let's simplify. So we are going to factor right here. We have x plus 2/3 squared equals negative 39 over 9 plus 4/3. Couple things here. I don't know if I mentioned this in the first problem. We got the x plus 2/3 because 2/3 was the number that we got after we halved the b, right? We cut the b in half, we got this number. That's what we put in our parentheses. And then that's squared because it's factored. We can't combine these two fractions right now because they have different denominators. So 3 times what equals 9? 3 times 3 equals 9. So let's multiply the top and bottom by 3. So now we have negative 39 over 9 plus 4 over 9. Same number on the bottom of the fraction, we can combine them. So we have x plus 2/3 squared equals negative 35 over 9. We got that from these two fractions right here. Let's get rid of the squared. Let's take the square root on both sides, and that leaves us with x plus 2/3 equals plus or minus I times the square root of 35 over 9. The plus or minus because we took the square root, the I because of the negative on the inside. Let's finish it off over here. Let's see if we can simplify this square root at all. Is there a nice perfect square of 35? Nope, but there is of 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. So we're just going to write 3 by itself on the bottom and leave the square root of 35 on top. And then we're going to get x by itself. Let's move it over, and we're going to write that negative 2/3 first. So we have x equals negative 2/3 plus or minus I times the square root of 35 over 3. Last example, we are in the standard form again, but we want to get it to the vertex form. So in order to do that, we are going to complete the square. Let's use this negative 14. So negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. Again, that negative 7 is used later when we factor it. Let's square it. That's 49. We're going to add it to right after the negative 14x. So since we are working on the same side of the equation, this is a little different. So instead of a 0 over here, we have a variable, we have y. So we didn't move the c over. And so to keep it fair, if we added 49 on the right side, we have to subtract 49 on the right side. Again, I think it helps to draw a little line or after the negative 14x and after the 54. So looking at this x squared minus 4x plus 49, we can factor that into x minus 7 squared. We got that minus 7 from right here, from the half. And then 54 minus 49 was plus 5, so that's kind of on the outside right there. Now this is our vertex form. We just happen to not have an a. Our a is 1. And we have x minus 7 squared plus 5. Really easy to find the vertex from this point. We flip the sign on the negative 7, so that's a positive 7. And then we keep the sign on the k, so positive 5 for our vertex of 7, 5. Little tricky because there's two ways to do it, right? Sometimes we have a 0 on one side, sometimes we have a y. If you do have questions, let me know.